Updated general hero tier list for the game Kinggodcastle for the month of June 2024, where we rank every single hero, and along with this list, the newest adjusted Sarah's A Nob here. It is that time again. I'm gonna make it short and sweet, guys. A lot of you guys have been sticking around. You guys know the drill. But first, elephant in the room, you guys know the visual upgrades. You got Zalbai over there. I have the Ren one as well, but most importantly, I have cooked up some new tier list visuals for my list. I made these myself, and you can see the key art and the pixel sprite version. So if you're a new player, you can kind of look what they are in game, and you can associate them directly very quickly. I know it's been a long running request, so I have cooked up these visuals. As a reminder, this is a general hero tier list that I update every month, so be sure to subscribe and keep up with that. All right, so you guys know the drill. SABCD general hero tier list. We will rank every single hero. I'm accounting for all the modes, thus general hero tier list. Speaking from my knowledge, how I feel about it, try to be unbiased as possible. And of course, I always have to say this is that raid is not the de facto mode that dictates the power levels of all heroes. It is a very kind of good measure, but to each your own. This is my list, my opinion. I know a lot of people disagree with my list, as the same as I do with other people's lists. I would love to see your list, because I'm sure they're much different than mine, but this is just how I feel about all the heroes. I've been playing for a while, and this is just how I feel about them. And not only am I accounting for power level, like how strong they are as a carry, but also most importantly utility. I feel like a utility factor of a lot of heroes get kind of ignored or not considered because it's kind of utility, right? Or like tank utility or whatever, right? A lot of people like big number, big damage, or thus their S tier. No, not everything is about damage, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like that. And also one thing is that within tiers, there's no tiers within tiers, so same time, for example, I have 5 heroes in S rank. No one of them are better than the other. For example, they're all S rank. Okay, so now all that out of the way, we're gonna be going through tiers. Timestamps down below if you want to skip and just hear through the explanations as usual, or you can just listen to me talk, because I ramble a lot. I try not to ramble. Let's kind of keep it short because there's a lot of freaking hero boys. I'm trying to keep the runtime down. So as usual, we're gonna go DCBAS, and we're gonna go backwards. So D tier, let's start, boys. You can't have D. Man, I'm looking for the day that I don't have to do this anymore. D for Daniel, boys. You guys know it. Daniel is one of the starting heroes. I'm gonna try to keep these short. I usually try to ramble, but I'm trying to keep it short, boys. I'm trying to make it under an hour, boys. Let's see if I can do it. D for Daniel, one of the starting tanks. Power creep. He used to be a reign of god, not a reign of god more, not no god any mode, and he needs a rework. I promise you, he's in line for a rework eventually. I prophesize it right now. Better meat shields out there for sure. The other D for now, okay, will remains to be seen, as you guys been knowing, Ophelia. So Ophelia is an anti-carry design that did not work, and basically it was pre-Kanak tier if you guys been playing a while. And it's a waifu, vampire chick, very good, like visual design, but in like when you play her, she doesn't do well, and it's because she's based on like this old idea of anti-carry. And yeah, they announced next season, okay, they are reworking her just like Kanak, so she could very well be S rank. And caveat, I keep on forgetting to say this video is recorded before the next week's patch, which is supposedly the new chapter. So the beginning of this season just started, season 43, the Ian Battle Pass. It just got released. So if you see this when it's posted, just know that these are recorded before this week's patch. So if there's a new chapter out or whatever, then I don't know about that yet, but I imagine this is still will remain pretty close to it, even if a new chapter releases. But everything remains to be seen. But just a little caveat. But that is it for D rank, boys. Daniel and Ophelia. Someone left, and we know it was Kanak. So next tier is gonna be C. So C We're getting, so CB is where a lot of other heroes kind of like, they get clumped, right? So D rank, okay, just to kind of clarify, is that D rank, you probably, they can't really get much done, but you can make them work, okay? So like, as usual, full disclosure, all heroes in the game, you can make it work in some way, shape, or form. It's a lot about knowledge and how you do it and all that. You can literally make any hero work in King God Castle. It is what it is, right? Ophelia chapter whatever, 12, 15, you can do it, right? I can do it, you know, anybody with max accounts can do it, but that is not this list, right? So D rank, like, they lack a lot. Like, it's in perspective of like, oh, what can they bring as compared to the other heroes and things like that, how often they're played and such. And she is just D rank, just avoid completely 10-foot pole, right? C rank, they're usable, all right? The first one's gonna be Leo. They're usable, are used in certain comps and things like that. It's just like they're not crazy, like crazy good, or they don't really serve of like a crazy function where it's unique to them. Like, it's very conditional sometimes, right? So Leo's one of the first starting tanks. A solid meat shield. The only thing you really see him in nowadays is in Grand Arena, when Arena favors him, like giant meta stuff, and that's basically it. But is he a solid tank in Arena mode? Yes. But is he really seen anywhere else? No. And he's a starting tank, and definitely I would pick him over Daniel, probably, right? Probably. So he is, you know, just a very linear meat shield guy, right? Next one's gonna be Leica, a hero lock character. Leica, so Leica, very archaic design, one of the OG heroes. He needs to get changed as well. He needs to get, you know, his concept is very good. Like, werewolf boy turns into like werewolf. He shoots a freaking gun, you know, and you only really people use him for your hero lock. The only other thing you see him as is Arena, Grand Arena buff, and that's about it, right? So other than that, I mean, yeah, you can do fun stuff. You can do fun stuff with anybody, right? This is not that list where it's like, oh yeah, you can do you know, 12, 15 Nob, I saw it somewhere. Yeah, I know, I can do it too, bro. I can do it too. But that is not this list. Like, anyone can do it, right? But just considering this kit, everything, like, if I have a flex slot on my team, I want utility. Is Leica gonna be in my consideration? Heck the no, right? All right, next one's gonna be Jupiter. Jupiter, DPS, straight damage. One of the legacy carries. She used to be an arena god. The only thing I can say is power creep. Cool design, lightning. I know her design's great, fan favorite, but she is underperforming. A lot of power creep, and the devs are just doing the whole, hey, let's just buff numbers until she's good. And it's not working out, long story short. Next one's gonna be Nabella. Now, there are a lot of Nabella fans, and I've always said that she is Círdan, but not, right? Like, Círdan exists, so she is pretty much obsolete, right? And I'll stand by that. You know, it is what it is. Yeah, they buffed her with attack speed, but that is not enough for me to change my feelings about her. She needs some kind of kit rework or something like that for sure, because her identity is not there, to be honest with you. And a lot of people, you know, I like her design, right? Like, literally, I've always said this, the only reason why you play Nabella is like if you like her visual design. Cool scimitar, you know, excuse me if I don't know the correct weapon name, but it looks like a scimitar to me. Big sword chick. I like zooming around, you know. I like my bruiser looking type of heroes as well. I dig it. I'm on that train. It's just her kit needs to change, because somebody does what she does, but 10 times better, in my opinion. And it's just like, they need to change it. And they're doing the same thing, they're trying to buff Nabella the same way they're trying to do Jupiter, which is change numbers and hope for the best. That is not enough, bro. That is not enough. Maybe in the future. Next one, I think he might be the new to the C rank. I'm putting Behemoth in C. Hard, man, tough love, man, tough love. I love Behemoth. Behemoth Gang, very fun comp to play, just not as effective nowadays. Yeah, of course you can do Behemoth and Invasion Nob, of course. Like I said, yeah, anyone can do whatever, right? Like you can make anybody work as long as you have the know-how, right? But Behemoth, he's just not seen around as often, and like ever since they did the whole the shield adjustment change where it's based on a spell power, not damage, I feel like it hurt him quite a bit. I don't know, that's just me, but his comps aren't just as effective because you have all this other oppressive stuff in the game now, right? So it's like he's definitely fallen off because he's originally mainly arena hero. Yeah, you can see him in Great Rift, but you're not gonna see him at P15, you know what I'm saying? So arena is definitely his thing, and you are now you're not gonna be seeing him in arena, right? So it's just one of those things, man. C rank, I have to give him that. He's just really fallen off lately, as of late. Yeah, unfortunately, but Behemoth is very fun. Behemoth is very fun. Another hero, a legacy, Draco. Draco is one of those heroes that they have been very stubborn on changing his design, and they've been doing the playing numbers game. They're trying to buff his numbers. His awakenings are very problematic. His kit needs to change, bro. Like he used to be an arena hero in the past. He's still an arena hero, but the thing is, sometimes he's okay, but he's not like the best, and that's literally all you see him is in arena, right? That's what you play Draco for. When I see Draco, I think of arena, but the thing is, arena meta is like definitely not Draco. In the past it worked, but as time goes on, it works less and less. C tier. Next one, Armus. Now I like Armus. With the new Dwarven scope, he feels very good, but he's very linear. And yes, he's one of the starting characters. Yeah, our gang. Yeah, he's very fun with quick shot, but there's a new hero that's around town, and it's hard for me to put him any higher because the mere existence of this hero, spoiler alert, in terms of range carries, kind of knocks other range carries down the drain. You know, that's just the feeling. Just like because of the existence of this one hero, all like anybody else that's in that same category, all of a sudden feels worse, and it's like, why would I ever play this hero, right? So that is I believe I had him at B before, so I put him at C. Solid. I like Armus, a sniper guy, and he's very fun. Don't get me wrong, but there's a hero that does kind of that range thing a lot better and very prominent around these times, right? So Armus, C tier in my opinion. And then next one is going to be Evan. So Evan is one of the two carries that you start off with. You usually invest in either Armus or Evan. We're kind of past that time frame now where you start with a hero that can carry you through all of Invasion, right? You actually have to rely on gacha now. But Evan, out of Armus and Evan, I would go for Evan at first, but you would definitely want to do gacha and get like one of these S tier type of invasion farmers and invest in them instead of like trying to go all ham on Evan or Armus like in the old days. You can't really do that anymore. But I do think Evan is definitely has fallen off in the meta for sure. But he is still fun. A lot of people like doing that whole map one shot type of shenanigans. So there it is, C rank. All right, next tier. B tier is like that mid tier. We're gonna get into the meat of it. This is where many of the heroes lie. So this is good, right? They're solid in some. They have good utility, good for flex slots. They're meta picks in some things and etc. But there's some modes they're not great, but they're like really good in this mode and things like that. That is B tier. They are not trash. All because they are B tier does not mean they're trash. A lot of people think like, oh, there's a hero in B tier that freaking sucks Nob. No, B tier is actually pretty good. It's pretty freaking good. Just that S and A are like meta picks and like they bring a lot of unique things, very strong, that kind of put them over the edge of majority of the cast. That is what my SA is. B is when the bulk good heroes fall under. All right, so first one is gonna be Priya. I always put Priya in here first. So Priya, one of the beginning heroes, surprisingly she's gotten better over time. AoE mage, you know, Para Bardry, instant stun, very fun, fan favorite. A lot of damage. You can do like TP. That TP Priya stuff is very fun. AoE stun, you know, it's always fun to do AoE stun. So she is pretty solid, and her awakenings, and there's also awakening considerations, right? So a lot of these heroes, they have awakenings, but like both of their awakenings suck, or there's no huge identity in their awakenings and things like that. Priya has a second awakening freezing armor, which has a lot of nuance, and there's a lot of strategic value. There's a lot of like play wiggle room fun time to happen with her awakening ability. So there's a lot of depth, right, is what I'm trying to say. So Priya, pretty good. Next one's gonna be Agath. Agath is a tank hero log character and one of the best meat shields in the game, and team-wide meat shield, right? She's not the flashiest, but she is definitely a great damage mitigation type of hero. Very good. One of my favorite tanks. One of the better meat shield, like pure meat shields in the game. Next one's gonna be Isaac, another hero lock. She is like a support character. You're not gonna see her do like a carry, but you can actually kind of do a carry with her. She has a lot of damage with her link ability. Don't underestimate link damage at all, and she's actually pretty good. A lot of players, they see Isaac and, oh man, this freaking hero is trash, right? She is key in like stun lock comps and things like that, and she does a lot of great damage. You can try to use her as a carry. She's gonna do a lot of freaking damage, just that you're not gonna see her do like the solo carry thing. It's actually pretty freaking hard, but she does a lot of damage, man. Like, she's solid, super solid, good utility. Can't go wrong. She's not like crazy AS, but she is pretty solid. And I think a lot of people sleep on Isaac, so pretty good. Baldir, next one. Bear, deer man. You know, if you're unfamiliar, if you put him in the front 2 rows, he's in bear form. Back 2 rows, he's in deer form. That's essentially tank mode and DPS mode. He is middle of the road, solid. I mean, I don't know what else to say. And I've always said this, where I don't think he's ever gonna leave that mid range, because they're always trying to balance these 2 forms. And my hugest issue is that his bear form is just kind of super mid. So B rank. The next one is going to be Chang'e. Chang'e is a very fan favorite. Is she your late game farmer? No, at least not meta. You can do it. It's not meta. She is fun. She's one of the legacy heroes that gotten changes over time, and it is net positive. She actually feels pretty good right now. But is she the top of the top? No. But she's does a lot of damage. I do see her getting more buffs, and I do see her possibly going further up, depending, but she's in this fine line, but I think she's pretty solid mid-tier hero. Next one, Kathy. Super OP when she was released, and then she kind of got hit, and then things got introduced into the game, and then like things are kind of better, but she is very popular with Dwarven Scope. Kind of oppressive, you know, with Dwarven Scope and Arena. You know, that's pretty freaking fun. But not as oppressive as when she was first released. I mean, I have nightmares, I promise you. But she pretty linear in terms of what she does, is straight damage gunslinger, but she's so fun to play with Ricochet. And she kills stuff, right? But at the end of the day, she is range DPS, and in my opinion, there's a better range DPS or more. You know, there's a lot of DPS in the game. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. There's better DPSs in the game, in my opinion, at this point. So you know that it warrants the B rank. Next one's gonna be Hela. Hela got buffed. And I feel like she needs to get more buffs, but you know, in the right direction. They're doing the numbers game with her, like with the other ones, like they're kind of tweaking her numbers, but I feel like she kind of needs a little bit of something else, because like she's the only hero in the game that has the whole thing where like attack speed and like a cast time reduction type thing. She can only cast like the minimum's 1.5 seconds and things like that. I feel like they need to add like another layer to kind of like balance it, because there's a hero named Pharrell, you know, and that is like my issue. So like there needs to be like an X factor there for me, but she has gotten some attention, and hopefully they continue to give her more attention to where she can kind of get more of her identity in play. And you know, yeah, I love Hela. Hela is a fan favorite, but right now she is pretty mid. Next one, Joel is a mid boy. I know there are some Joel fans, and Joel's like, Joel can do everything. Yeah, I mean, you can do. I mean, you can make everyone do anything. You know, that's what I always say. But Joel is one of those heroes that's gotten better. It's kind of like it's the Chunga Joel, right? Like Joel is one of the OG characters. He got buffed over time, and actually, you know, not bad, right? And then he is not bad, mid B tier in my opinion, and you know, solid. You get him for free like the beginner's quest or something like that, if I remember right. But he is solid. Nothing's really changed really. A lot of the B ranks kind of stay B ranks for a while, but lately the game has kind of shifted a lot, so it is fun to see where they shift. So next one's gonna be Neria. Neria, I used to have her in A, but you don't nearly see her as often anymore. Like a lot of people run that like a Neria in the back line. We know when they run Void, but it's less about that nowadays, because carries can just like, you just need the carries. You don't need like a backline Neria, but like she has a lot of utility in her kit. She has that invisible awakening and a lot of pathing shenanigans that you can do with her, and she is percent based. So when she was released, she was awful, kind of like, you know, it wasn't as bad as like Kanak or Ophelia, but like when she was released, she wasn't that great, and then she actually got fixes pretty fast, and then she got adjusted, and she actually feels pretty good, right? So it's kind of interesting how her release cycle went, right? But she's actually pretty solid. So Neria, I do like her. Next one, Yan, another hero that is a legacy hero and got a lot buzz and got a lot better. And then there's even like a team comp and like, you know, like a whole freaking archetype based on her, you know, like Mage Altar, and she cast the bolos and the water balls, and then you get the heals and the damages. She has a lot of burst, and she feels really good, and she is pretty solid. Next one, another beginning character, Shelda. So Shelda, very fan favorite. She Mighty Blocks is really strong right now, and she generates her own Mighty Block, one of the original characters, and she has one of the best like tanks, right? She's one of the best tanks. She generates her own literal Mighty Blocks with awakening ability. Very good tank. But other than that, her second awakening is trash, and yeah, it's fun to play with, but let's be honest, it's not exactly the most practical. But her awakening one, Shilda, is like, that's her identity and is so good. One of the best tanks in the game. What can I say? One of the best tanks. Next one's gonna be Mercil. Mercil is a healer damage druid, but nowadays you only see her used as a damage booster. She has a potential ability that allows you to expose weakness to the target, which means that target receives more damage. So you use things like raid mode where the boss can take more damage and things like that. So that is typically what you see Mercil used for now. She used to be an arena pick, but that meta is gone now for sure. Other than that, you use her for her AoE CC removal awakening 2, but it's literally only support, right? You use her for her exposed weakness thing or CC removal. You don't really see her for heals. You know, to be honest, there's not many healing metas right now. Let's be honest, but it's mainly for utility, CC removal or exposed weakness. That's pretty much all you use her for. But like, if you want to use her for damage and like for that healing thing, awakening 1, she's still really good as well. So mid tier, very good, very Very slotted meta for a flex pick. Like if you want to use that utility, do not get me wrong, but B tier doesn't mean that she's garbage and that I'm not considering that. But it's just considering everything, right, boys? Considering everything. Next one's gonna be Kain. A lot of people like Kain because he can generate the items. Yes, he can generate the items. My issue is that his carry potential. I have issues with his mechanics, man. I have always had an issue with his mechanics. But I will admit that over the months or years or whatever, they have buffed him enough as a solo carry where it feels way better to play him as a solo carry, but I still have freaking issues with him as a solo carry. But his main draw is that he can generate items on kill with his Awakening 1, right? And you use it in raid mode to get more items, or use it in a Great Rift to get whatever, right? Invasion mode, whatever, climb up the invasion leaderboards. Because of that, he's that high for me in like B rank. I will give you B plus. I'm not gonna give you A, man. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna give you A, but B plus is where I give it to you. I know those of you guys who skip to the end will only see him as place, but you guys who stick around to actually listen to my explanations, I will give him B plus, but I'll give him B because I'm not doing any middle tiers, boys, middle tiers. So generating item man, pretty good. Next one's gonna be Herang, stun man, very good stuns. He used to be super OP. He has fallen off some because of the things in the game. They literally have not touched him. Like in my hold on, let me think for a second. I don't think Awesome Peach touched him ever since he was released. He was freaking open, or maybe they touched him once. Nah, it's been a long time. It's been a long time. But in terms of nurse, they didn't do anything to this guy, bro. Like we were waiting for him to get nerfed to the ground or something because he was so oppressive for so long. And they never touched him, and then they just introduced more crazy crap into the game. So he is definitely fallen off some, but he is still your stun lock man go-to. Pair him up with Bardry. He's stunning fools, bro. And both of his awakenings are really good. His second one with the freezing has a lot of strategic value as well, and very good utility. So a lot of flex strats there. Next one's gonna be Taebaek. So Taebaek, Awakening 2, the invincible one, right? I believe it's called No Retreat or something. It gives him invincibility when he channels, which is really good because he can just taunt and like not die, right? So that is what you use him for. Without that, don't use Awakening 1. Don't use him as a freaking damage dealer. It doesn't freaking work, to be honest. That needs to get changed. But he is literally F tier if he doesn't have his awakening, right? And a lot of new players like, oh, why do people use Taebaek? He's like straight garbage. Well, it's because you literally only use him for awakening 2 utility. That's literally all you do. His his cross map taunt ability, and that is really good. Next one's going to be Gidnil. Gidnil for spell shield. Now spell shield is pretty good. Very key in a lot of like Tower Trials stuff, and very like one of the best flex slot support skills is sharing spell shield. But without that awakening, he is DFFF tier. Like he's just punch man. His awakening 1 does have some strategic values, but it is so specific that Awakening 2 is usually better. You know, like Awakening 2 is not 8 out of 10 times is better. I've tried to use Awakening 1. It does have strategic value, but it's just sharing that spell shield is just it's too good to pass up, right? And his awakening, a lot of these guys, these awakenings need to be readjusted in my opinion. But I'll give Gidnil like B plus. So similar to like Kain, B plus, but you know, B, right? But his spell shield, his ability as a flex slot, spell shield, great and Great Rift, like he's amazing, right? But spell shield is like great but not great. Mighty blocks exist. Mighty blocks has a more value in my opinion. I mean, depends on what it is, right? But generally Mighty block is better nowadays. Like there was this whole Mighty block spell shield change in the past and things like that. So B plus. I'll give you B plus. It's hard for me to give him A, so B plus. Next one's gonna be Zhao Yun, one of my favorite heroes in the game. Used to be, you know, he is raid meta and things like that, but with other things in the game, things are better. You know, there are other things better in raid, and then he is a meta in chapter 12. But the thing is other metas that pop up that, like, oh, you can use Zhao, or you can use someone else, or things like that. And when the next chapter hits, whenever that is, I'm assuming it's going to be later this week. You know, as a recording of this video, the latest chapter is chapter 12, and it is the Ian Battle Pass. Ian Battle Pass just got released like literally last week, and the next second patch of the month has not come out yet, so that is where we're at. And with the new chapter, there's always going to be a new meta, right? So Zhao Yun was the meta for chapter 12, then a new hero came out, and pretty much like it was like a toss, and you know, let's be honest, the new hero is better. And then the newest chapter, chapter 13, is probably going to have its own meta, right? And maybe, who knows, they're going to release new relics and things like that, and there's that new progression content that's coming out in season 44, and then Ophelia rework is going to come out. Who knows, Ophelia might be chapter 13 meta, right? So that is the state of King God Castle that we're in, and as you guys know, who've been playing for a while, the state of the game changes so often. That's why we update this hero tier list every month. It's always fun to see and how things change. But yeah, Zhao Yun, you typically only see him in raid. You can do chapter 12, but that is about it. I do like him, but he's chapter 12 invasion farming, and then like raid, right? And that's about it. He's kind of middle of the road in my opinion. He kind of, unfortunately, he's one of my favorite heroes, man. Not gonna lie, he's one of my favorite heroes. And that's all you really see him in. He's less prevalent in chapter 12 because of a new hero. But that's where I think that's where he lands for this one, B tier. Next one's gonna be Rosette Tank. She is one of the old, quote unquote, older ones. And she's a meat shield, and she got some changes where she got the Zalbai treatment, where her skill is based on attack speed, so her cast time or skill animation is faster, and she does her thing, you know, faster and like more damage, right? And it honestly feels pretty good. It's fun seeing her dunk on fools, and she's a meat shield, right? And the main thing that you use her for is her exposed weakness, right? The thing that allows you to do more damage to the target, you know, that little crosshair pink symbol, that is the exposed weakness thing. So she's pretty much, her identity has always been like the exposed weakness person, right? You can use her as a carry for memes and things like that, but you really just see her as a meat shield and exposed weakness. That is where she lands, but she feels better overall for sure over the years. She literally used to be like D tier, so it's good to see some of these older characters like kind of move up and kind of stay there. So next one, Tia. I'm gonna move Tia. I believe Tia was A last time, but I'm gonna move her here. And the reason why, you know what, to state, I'll give her B plus. It feels so weird for me to put her in A. Yeah, she's Great Rift, like she's my Great Rift go-to blacksmith build, but you can do that build for like literally anybody. But she's just kind of like the poster chick of that build. But other than that, she's not really used anywhere else, really. Like other than that, it's like Arena, right? But other than that, is like not really. And it's just like in terms of kit and things like that, it's just, yeah, okay, full disclosure, I've never really been a huge Tia fan. For full disclosure. So she used to be an A for me, and I think I'm gonna put her in B for this one, or B plus. I'll give her B plus, so she falls in B. And yeah, I think that's where she falls. Like crazy good, like the staple Great Rib blacksmith build. But other than that, you don't really see her anywhere else. And then she literally doesn't really have much utility either, like none almost. It's just DPS, right? And her unique thing as a range carry is that she actually can move around, right? And that's pretty unique. But B plus. B plus is what I'll give her. Next one is gonna be Alberon. So I moved Alberon up. And that is because he is useful as a flex slot, as a healer if you need healing. And I recognize that, and it feels, the more I looked at C, the worse it felt putting Alberon there, because he does have a place in metas and things like that, where there are specific things that he can only really do that is prevalent in a lot of meta stuff. So it just felt weird putting him in C. So like with C, there are directly better things that I would choose, like at least personally I would choose over them, right? Like there's no particular like one comp or something that I would choose one over the other, right? Like even with like the only one that I would be like is like Leo, but Leo there are other better tanks. There are a lot of more tanks, a lot more options nowadays, so that's what I'm trying to get at, right? Alberon actually brings Alberon things like AoE heal and like overheal and things like that, so I will give him B rank. Hero long character, one of the starter characters for sure. You definitely don't want to like, he's definitely not like his awakenings are trash, but he does have a place in comps for sure. But straight heals, man, don't get me wrong. Next one's gonna be Inwrath. Now Inwrath, I do feel like he's fallen off some in the meta, but he is still very strong, still really good in early rounds arena and things like that. I mean, arena is kind of volatile in itself, but he's really good because he scales off with no items. But I mean, chapter 1 through 10, he's a god, right? But this new invasion season 2, it's a tough cookie, man. But other than that, like, yeah, you can do like maybe like some raids up, but like, you know, let's be honest, but he's unfortunately fallen off some for me. I really don't like his awakening too, by the way. This suicide one, I really don't like it. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, but please, awesome piece, please make both awakenings like kind of useful for heroes, just not like give us a reason, like one offensive, one defensive or something, right? Like don't make two offensive, and like, man, I'm very curious about their design philosophy for awakening 2 for Inwrath. But anyway, next one's gonna be Hanzi. So Hanzi, I'm gonna put her in B. And she is prevalent because of like blood boss and raid, you know, and then she feels really good with like dwarven scope, and she's a fan favorite. And then I also thought about the same logic with Alberon when I was looking at C, right? When I put Hanzi in C, it felt a little off. Like I can't believe I'm saying I like Hanzi more than Armis, but like Hanzi has like a place because she is ramping, and she's like ramping, like stacking arrows and things like that. So there's like a unique thing about her, right? And then Armis is just kind of like pew pew pew, right? And then like Hanzi is actually kind of used, as opposed to like Armis, like in the late game kind of thing, not really used. So that is the logic. I think she is solid. And I mean, granted, since the introduction to dwarven scope, a lot of heroes kind of, the range carries specifically kind of got increased, like their ranking, their power ranking kind of increased. But because of the latest hero, they kind of like, you know, kind of put a new perspective on it. So I think Hanzi fans, you're gonna be happy. B rank. Next one, I'm gonna put Elizabeth. Now Elizabeth, for me, I think she's like A tier, but my issue has always been that she is not 100% mana starter. She starts with 50%, and you have to use like items, or you got to use 10 mage altar or like a bardry or whatever. If she was 100% mana starter, I would put her in A tier in a heartbeat. But yeah, she's used in a raid mode. Yeah, she has a unique thing where she can actually proc her own void stacks. That is insanely strong. I'll give her B+. You know what? I'll give her B+. But she is very good just because of that. Like, she can actually proc her own golems to stack her own void stacks, right? She doesn't need the enemy to kill her summons, right? And that in itself is very strong. And on top of that, she has like an innate taunt baked into her ability, like into her kit, which is insanely strong. So B plus, but like the hugest thing for me, man, is that she is only 50%, not 100%. So yeah, I mean, I give her a B plus, 100% B plus, easy B plus. I want to put an A, but I can't. But yeah, Elizabeth. So that is it for tier B. So now next one, A tier. So we're going down, boys. We're going down. So I'm gonna be putting Lily, hero, long character. She's a very solid tank. This D mount, you know, and then mount back, and she's always been solid. She has a stun baked into her awakening. Very good. And one of the better tanks in the game, for sure. So not much to say. Next one on the list, I'm gonna be putting Círdan. I'm gonna be putting Círdan in A rank, boys. He's gotten some nerfs, and you really feel it. And now they're introducing some other stuff in the game, and it's just like all of a sudden you thought he was like super OP, and he feels less OP now because there's so much more. Like, I don't know how AWESOMEPIECE keeps on doing this. Like, keep on adding more OP stuff in the game to make the OP stuff feel not as OP. I don't freaking get it. He's still really good, but he doesn't feel as crazy as he once was. So he's A tier. That's fair. He's still 30 mana starter, 2 auto attacks. He still has his auto pathing. He spin to win, still scales off of both spell power and attack speed. Yeah, like he's CC immune still. Like, they didn't touch any of that. They touched his like kind of damage essentially, right? And A tier, he's still solid. He's still solid. It's just like there's more OP stuff in the game. Like, it's just crazy to think, right? So yeah, Círdan. And speaking of, man, like Ian, I'm gonna put Ian in A. He stays here for me. He is not as crazy as he once was. Yeah, you can use him to raid, and again, raid mode is not the de facto thing. Like, if you you know, to each their own, right? I've been into raid mode. I've been there. I've been done that. I get it, right? I freaking get it. But in terms of everything, like, I just can't put him in S tier. Yes, he's a scaling hero. He's OP damage, a lot of damage. You can do blacksmith, Ian this, Ian that. Yeah. He's not what he once was. You literally don't see him around as much, and it just feels bad for me personally to put him in S. Just considering everything, that's why I put him in A, boys. That's why I put him in A. A very good hero. He does have a place in my heart. And then Battle Pass Ian, you know, to be honest, I'm not in love with his Battle Pass skin, but I do enjoy the concept of it. The execution, not too much, but Ian's a favorite. But he's gonna stay in A rank for this list at least. So next one is gonna be Mara. So Mara is one of those heroes that she has a lot of different utility things baked into her kit, and she's a void stacker in herself. One of the de facto void stackers that you see. Whenever you see void relic, you see either the heroes, right? Like Mara, Elizabeth, or Rai, right? Mara is usually up there because she starts with 100% mana. She stuns the target. Usually she has 2 awakenings that are useful. The second one being illusion that you typically use for void relic, or if you're using as a damage booster, she has a supposed weakness. Less so, people usually use her as a illusion void stacker unit. But yeah, she stuns the target, generates a mighty block. What more can you want, right? And she is really solid, really good, and very good round 1 hero in arena. Been around for a while. She used to be freaking garbage, believe it or not. She used to be really bad before void relic and before awakenings got released. She was absolutely freaking garbage, right? And then once those got released and things like that, you know, any of you guys remember when Void Relic was released and Mara could proc her own Void stacks like Elizabeth by summoning her clone, right? Apparently that was a bug and that got fixed, but I had fun with that. But anyway, she is a very fun hero, very staple. You see her around a lot. And that is because Void Relic is so strong. And yeah, very good hero. Next one's gonna be Rahak. I put Rahak recently in A tier because of his Awakening 1. Throws out 2 birds, applies the damage buffing effect to 2 targets, and attack speed slow. Very good, right? A raid meta, like place him in literally any competitive mode. Very good flex slot unit. And what can I say, man? What can I say? And Rahak does a lot of damage. If you make him a freaking carry, he does a lot of damage, bro. He does a lot of damage. Don't sleep on that. Very solid hero. Very good utility effect. Very meta right now. Rahak. Next one's going to be Ren. Now, they buffed Ren. Spell power buff. And she feels way better. And she just feels better than before. You know, that's a no-brainer. Is she S? I don't think so. I'll give you A+. I'll give you A+ for you Ren fans, but A is where she's at. Very good hero. Mighty Blocks, you know, you do like the Bloodthirster, like, you know, Relic, where the Mighty Block builds and things like that, and Strife or whatever. You can do like Invasion with her. She's very fun, and she has one of the sickest god skins in the game, in my opinion. She's solid, man. She's solid. I was never really a Ren fan in the past, and over time I was. And I think she's on the rise, man. I think she's on the rise. I think I'm buying onto the Ren hype. And she's continually becoming better. Let's just say that. Ramping hero, kind of like Hanzi, but like done in a better way, in my opinion. Her Awakening 1 needs to be adjusted, AWESOMEPIECE. Give me another, like, a lot of these heroes need to get Awakenings that needs to be adjusted, you know what I'm saying? So, Ren, A rank. Next one's gonna be Tayson. Tayson is one of those unique tanks where he's a tank and a damage dealer and has a unique mechanic to scale off of shield and things like that, and his damage is based on shield and all this stuff. He's de facto like mage altar guy. He does his ability at the beginning of a round, pulls people, you know, CC stun, you put him 2, 3, whatever on the board, and he is stable for a long time. Very good, and he does a lot of damage as well. If you want to use him as a damage dealer, you can. You freaking can. He does a lot of damage, and he has a lot of unique mechanics about his kit. So he's definitely one of those off tanks that are very unique, and definitely one of the better tanks in the game for sure. Right? That has a lot of depth. So Tayson, very used a lot. A lot. The next one's gonna be his brother Zalbai, another fan favorite. Everyone loves Zalbai. He is the Virgil, Sephiroth, you name it, of the game. Swordsman, goes around, anime man, one of the best god skins in the game. The lightning god, you can see him right here. He's the art right there. But a lot of people like him. He used to be super OP when he was released. They nerfed him. Essentially, they made him, long story short, more glass cannon. Then lately, they've been trying to bring his damage back up, but trying to not go crazy with his durability. And pretty much he's at where he's at right now, where he does a lot of damage, but he's still pretty glass cannon, right? And they're trying to do this like teeter-totter thing, right? And they eventually introduced a thing with him first where they scaled his skill speed with attack speed. And that they did it with him first, and they've been kind of trying, they did it with like Rosette, and then they're hopefully gonna apply that idea to some other heroes. But Zalbai got that treatment first, if I recalled correctly. But he's very strong. He is not as tier as everyone would want him to be. At least his fans. Zalbai is very popular, bro. I mean, I'm a Zalbai fan too. And you know, you do the Seirang with the Zalbai, you know, very popular. And he's fun. He's fun to play. You know, who doesn't like anime swordsman zipping through the screen, right? Next one's gonna be Victoria. Victoria can still do Victoria things. I'll be honest. Full disclosure, I'm not a Victoria fan. I've never been. But I know and I understand she's very oppressive, and she's like the noob killer, right? And yeah, I mean, people like Victoria, man, you know, and she has unique mechanics. I think she's really good, and she does a lot of freaking damage really early for no freaking reason, right? And I acknowledge that she, it would feel bad to put her in anywhere in B for sure. I completely agree. I don't think she's S. So she goes into A tier for me. I mean, she's pure damage, right? Damage dealer, damage carry, what have you. Next one's gonna be Pharrell. Now Pharrell's the one that I mentioned that is pretty much the hella, but does it better in my opinion, or one of the newer heroes. They did nerf him. I do wish they reverted his nerf. I do think they need to revert his nerf, in my opinion. You know, give him back his spell power, right? And please give him back his spell power. I do think they need to revert his nerf, but because of the nerf and things like that, I do think he fell a little bit, so he is A to me, but he is still a very, very strong AoE mage caster. Seidong, put him in the back line, and he has a hella insane range. Boom, go to town, right? Really good damage dealer. Next one's gonna be Estia. She is like epitome of damage with a bunch of utility in her kit. Like pushback, gives her team health, healing, like freaking scaled off of attack or items. Actually, she has a lot of unique mechanics that a lot of other heroes don't really have either. She has like pushback mechanic, and she can even do like solo carries and like give herself the freaking pushback, and really, really, really oppressive, good utility hero. Tends to be missed by newer players. Don't let it fool you. She is very strong. She does a lot of freaking damage. Next one is going to be Dandelion. Dandelion is one of the newer heroes. Has a lot of utility baked into her kit. She has like that Daniel stun thing from her Awakening 1. She recently got her Awakening 2, which kind of buffs her like tankiness, which is really good as well. And then she has like exposed weakness. She has like attack speed slow, and like all this junk. She's even got damage if you build her like spell power. It's just insane. And she has a unique mechanic where she actually gets like % health, right? And it kind of functions a little differently. It's not like a straight heal. She actually gains the health, and she has a really good design, right? Like it's just kind of like one of those new awesome piece cook designs, right? And it's good to see, right? And A rank for me. I don't think she's S tier for sure. I think she's solid A. If they give her some kind of crazy damage scaling or something like that, maybe S, you know, like just build, you know, throw armor on her and she does like bajillion damage still for some reason, then yeah, S rank, right? But for now, A rank for me. Next one's gonna be Bommy. I'm gonna do Bommy. I moved him back up to A, boys. Bommy fans. I'm a Bommy fan. So they recently buffed him. He starts with 80 out of 80 mana. 100% mana start, boys. No more is he 10 mage altar required, man. You can run anything you want on him, 15 mage, 10 blood, 15 mage, whatever you want, and he still will proc at the beginning of round regardless. It is insane change. If you are a Bommy fan, Bommy user, you understand. You guys understand me. Like this change is insane. And on top of that, obviously Dwarven Scope, very, very good for Bommy. It's so good. It's so good. I love this change so much. Thank you, awesome. Please, can I see this change for Elizabeth? Please give me this change for Elizabeth. All right, next one's gonna be Kanak. I'm gonna put, man, I've debated this for a little bit. I think Kanak is A+. For this last list, I believe I put him in A, and then this list I'm gonna put him in A+. And that gives me an opportunity for next list to put him either in S, move him back to S, you know, move him to S, or keep him at A+ and keep him at A, right? So how about that? Is that fair? I feel like it needs to cook a little bit for me to confidently put him in S, for me personally. Now, a lot of people might put him in S, right? I'm going to put him in A+. And, you know, since we're not doing middle tiers, he's A for me. But potential for next update to be S. You know, for me personally, he's a bit stale. Like in terms of just visually, he's not really fun to play, but is he effective and is he like doing damage? Yes, he does. So I can't complain, right? Just like I have to, it's like a mental block for me. It's a personal thing. I don't feel confident yet to put him in S. Is that because I'm so used to him being D tier? Is that why? I don't know, but I think next update, hero tier list, we can decide if he is 100% S or he stays for A for me. So for now, I'm gonna put in A, and that is it for A rank. Now S rank is gonna be the next one, and you can kind of see him down there. Let's just go through it really quick. It's gonna be short and simple. I do this pretty often, so link heroes first, and I'll do the link hero spiel. So link type heroes, they're hero lock characters, and you can only have one of them on your team, and they link to your hero through a link UI effect, and they attach to a hero, right? And essentially when they cast their skills, they essentially buff that hero with some stuff, right? And there are 3 of them, you know, Lunaire, Mono, and Seirong. And if you guys watch my videos, I do this every time. Lunaire was the first one that existed, and then Mono came out, then Seirong came out, and then long story short, Lunaire buffs attack and spell power, Mono buffs attack power, and then Seirong buffs spell power, and like spell damage and spell amp and whatnot, right? So why would you use one over the other? So Lunaire buffs attack and spell power, but you can stack Lunaires on one carry. With Mono and Seirong, you can only have one Mono or one Seirong buff to one target. You cannot stack them, so that is why Lunaire is so good. You can stack them, and it's both spell power and attack power, and there's the whole mighty block effect as well she can give. And then Mono, you get a higher percentage buff on attack power. His Awakening 2 can give you like CC immunity, and then his kit is baked into where you can get movement speed and most importantly damage reduction with Mono, right? And also Lunaire gives movement speed too, but it's like whatever, let's be honest. So the movement speed isn't exactly what you're using these link heroes for, it's for the buff, right? And then Seirong, you're gonna use her either to give mana at the start of a round as a battery unit. She's one of 2 battery users in the entire game, and she gives mana to the target, so make them insta cast, or you're using it for Awakening 2 to buff their spell power and attack speed if they cast fast enough, like Rai or Saras, right? And she buffs a spell damage, like spell amplification as well. So spell power stuff, attack, both attack and spell power, right? And then I'm only gonna say it in terms of black and white, right? Like there's a lot of gray area in terms. There's a lot of confusion with new players, like, oh, what is the best link hero for what hero? I'll let you guys figure that out yourself. Just know that there's a lot of gray area. I urge you guys to go in the Discord and like kind of ask about it, and just know it depends on so many things, like what mode are you playing, what hero are you playing, what's your comp, what are you using it for, right? And there's a lot of gray area, a lot of nuance, and it's something that you can only really understand and grasp as the more you play the game, right? It's not as clear cut as like, oh, my hero does spell power blue, so I use Seirong, right? Or my hero does red and I just do Mono. Yeah, at the beginning you can just follow that logic, and most of the time you're good, right? But there are some instances where that might not really generally be the case, and there's a lot of opinions out there, so just find that out yourself. Just know that there's a lot of nuance and things like that. All right, next one is going to be Bardry, the OG battery unit, team wide, gives mana to the entire team. Pair her up with like literally any mana starving hero, and they cast a bunch of times, like Tayson, things like that. There's a lot of nuanced tricks with Bardry, with giving mana, with sync and things like that, and like Bardry and link type hero, and namely a bunch of Lunaires, right? In raid mode, everyone knows that. But OG battery unit, what can I say? S rank. Next one is gonna be Mel. Now Mel, I thought a lot about this, and it's just I cannot put Mel not S tier, bro. It's just like, I don't know. She's staple in so many things, and she's been staple in so many things that I like. Yeah, she's not the best invasion farmer. She's not the meta in like Stripe Battlefield anymore, and she's definitely not going to be in Arena and things like that. But it's just like her kit and ability, what she can accomplish, not many other people can do, and it's so classic. It will feel so bad for me to put her in like A plus. Man, it would feel so bad, man. It would feel so bad, but I don't think it is the list for me to do that until I feel like it's time. Like I feel like this needs to be like an overtime thing for me to mentally accept that she is like A plus tier. Until that happens, I'll do it, but I feel like it's gonna take some time for me to truly accept that. I don't think this tier list, this one specific video is enough for me to knock her down. I do see a future where there's going to be like a Mel 2.0. I bet you there's gonna be a Mel 2.0 in the future. Until then, she's gonna stay an S for me. All right, boys. All right, Mel, percentage base, attack speed, OG, Lunaires, Bardry, go to town, a lot of freaking damage, zoom in, right? Not much I can say, man. Not much I can say. Or they buff her, you know, please buff Mel. Please. I can't believe I'm saying buff Mel, man. All right, next one. I'm going to put Kanak. So Kanak, she with her release introduced a brand new defensive mechanic, evasion, super freaking OP. They did nerf her. I do think she's so freaking OP still. Her mechanic is so unique to her and is so strong. Freaking evasion, what can I say? Until evasion and kind of like that idea, like maybe it gets buried, right? Maybe AWESOMEPIECE like, oh, let's introduce like evasion, and then like cool, and then like just forget about it and keep on nerfing evasion, and then it just gets out and like evasion just sucks anymore, right? Who cares, right? So until then, she stays A, but I think it's enough for me to be like, it's freaking S, man. Like I can't, bro. I can't. It's freaking S tier. It's freaking S tier through and through. Freaking evasion. Like unless they start giving evasion like in more more people's kits, but it's unique to her right now, you know, besides the like relic, but it's still really good. It's still really good. What can I say? She remains an S for me. Next one's gonna be Rye. Rye is going to be an S tier. She got the Zalbai treatment. Her spell cast scales off attack speed, which was amazing for her, and that kind of like increased her to fandom. I mean, let's be honest, she was very popular, but even before then, but she got her power level got crazy skyrocketed. Meta and a lot of things, a lot of stuff going on with Rye, and she is very, very, very strong. Let's just say that. And ever since that attack speed change, freaking crazy. All right, next one. I'm gonna cap it off. Nero's Hero Saras, adjusted Saras, by the way, the nerfed one, quote unquote nerfed. Yeah, they nerfed him. Did that do anything? Yes, it did. But he's still freaking really good, and he is crazy design, bro. Like, he essentially replaces all the range carries in the game, at least for me, in my opinion. And he is so good. Like, it is so good. Now, I wish he could summon 3 hallucinations. That's just me though. I wish you could summon 3, but 2 hallucinations is just fine. There's still some strategic placements and stuff that you can do for it. I think the balance was good, but is he still OP? I think he's OP still. And I think the nerf was they did pretty good on the balance adjustments, to be honest with you. So if chapter 13 comes out, I'm using Saras, right? And I think a lot of people are, right? So it's kind of like this whole thing where like, oh, Saras exists, so well, Aramis kind of goes down for me, and Tia kind of goes down for, like, it kind of adjusts all the other perspectives on the other heroes, because Sarah simply exists, right? And it's just crazy to see AWESOMEPIECE go into this design. Anyways, I'm gonna end this one here. That is my tier list for June 2024. Let me know in the comments below what you agree with, what you disagree with. Let me know what you think. How would you rank the newest hero, Sarah? As a reminder, I update this tier list every month, so be sure to subscribe and keep up with that on the channel. And let me know what you think about the new tier list visuals. Do you think it's helpful? Do you like it? Do you want to go back? Because I'm definitely not going to go back, so you guys will live with this one. But anyways, I'm getting this one here. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it, and I'll see you next one, boys. Later.